Ah yes, the dreaded phantom battery drain. Many of us have experienced it, not only on classic cars, but on new cars, or newer cars at least once in our lives. And sometimes they can be hard to identify. So on this MGB, I'm going to show you how I identify whether or not it is a battery drain issue or something else that's causing the dead battery, or where the battery drain might be coming from as well. So let's get stuck in. The battery in this MGB is located conveniently under the back seat, which makes it an absolute pain in the butt if you need a jump start. But anyway, look, that's neither here nor there. It really doesn't matter where your battery is. What we are going to do is we're going to disconnect the positive terminal from the battery, and we're going to use that as our starting point. And this here is a test light. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use one end of the test light to connect onto the battery terminal here, like so, and the other end we're going to touch it off the battery post. And if you look here, you can see the filament of the test light is glowing slightly. So we need to find out why that is, okay? Because that means there is current flowing from the positive terminal into the positive connection point on the car. And that's the source of our battery drain. Ideally, you don't want to see any light coming off that at all. Now, in actual fact, the source of our battery drain here is our interior light. So if I press the door switch, that goes out. So we were having a problem with this car with having a dead battery several times. So now I know that if it's not the interior light, there's no battery drain there at all, okay? So next thing we're going to do is we're going to use an ammeter on our multimeter, okay? And we're going to have a look and see what sort of current is flowing through those 2 points. Multimeters and test lights are cheap, but if you don't have one and you want to try and get this job done, you can always just use a light bulb and a piece of wire, obviously a 12-volt light bulb, and a piece of wire soldered onto it, or a bulb socket with wires attached to it, and just use that instead of your test light. There's ways around these problems. And a multimeter can be bought in a motor factors for €15, some of the cheaper ones. The one I have is a Fluke one, so it's a bit more expensive, but that's because I could justify actually paying the extra because I use it quite a lot. So if you have a situation where your test light is showing a battery drain and it's coming on when you connect those 2 points to any great degree, what you can start doing is pulling out fuses one by one and seeing what turns off the light. And that will identify the circuit which is causing the issue, and then you can basically work forward from there, go through a wiring diagram if you can get your hands on one, and just try and identify what could be causing it. A lot of the time it'll be a radio, or it'll be some part that's gone faulty. It can even be a bad earth connection, because bad connections cause resistance, and resistance causes potential difference or voltage flow. So yeah, that's basically current flow, I should say. So that's basically what you need to do there. So just go methodically through the system, pull out fuses, find out what turns that light off, and eliminate the fault from that point forward. Obviously different cars are going to be different in that respect, so I can't be too specific. Okay, so you've identified the source of your battery drain, and it turns out to be that cheap Chinese piece of rubbish radio that your mate installed for you there a few weeks ago. So disconnect that and you're all sorted. In the case of this MGB though, there isn't a battery drain, but the battery was going flat over a short period of time, so we need to dig a bit further. So next thing to do is to have a look and see if the alternator is working. So first thing we need to do is we need to reconnect our battery. Now, if you are messing around with the positive post of the battery, make sure that you don't touch the spanner off the bodywork. Generally, what I would recommend is you actually disconnect the negative post if you're just needing to isolate the battery. Oh, there goes my meter. Now, I know I'd said that we were going to use the ammeter function on the multimeter to find out how much current was being drawn. I would do that only for the fact that I blew the fuse in my multimeter for that function, so I can't. So anyway, it was my own silly fault. I made a mistake. Anyway, so you'll see now 12.72 volts is what we're seeing at the battery now. So that's a fully charged battery as far as that's concerned. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to start the engine. And that should go up to about, you'd want to see at least 13.5. So you're going to see a little bit of a drop at first when we turn on the ignition, and we're going to start her up. Now you see you didn't get an initial jump in voltage, but that's because of the fact that the alternator is not fully excited yet. So let's give the throttle a blip. And there we go. We're up to 14.3 volts. So that means the alternator is working. So that battery is getting charged. Not long ago I actually fixed a battery drain issue for a lady who is local to here, who has a Renault Scenic, and the battery was going dead overnight, and she had brought it into several mechanics who, for reasons I cannot understand, were not able to identify the issue. So I said to her, let me have a look at it, I'm sure I can figure it out. So I started at the basics. I did exactly what I did in this car, and it turned out to be an auxiliary heating system, which turns out to be a known fault. Quick Google search actually found that that's one of the big problem areas with Renault Scenics. Renault and electrics they tend to be problematic at the best of times. But I disconnected the auxiliary heater, which was not necessary in the Irish climate here anyway, and lo and behold, problem fixed. And it didn't cost her a penny, even though one mechanic who was, let's just say, unscrupulous, I would have used slightly stronger language than that, wanted to charge her €800 to replace a part that he didn't even know was going to actually fix the problem. He didn't even tell her what the part was, he was just going to throw money at it, and he wanted to change the alternator as well. So it just goes to show it pays to do a little bit of troubleshooting yourself before you concede defeat and bring it into a mechanic, and at least you might be able to fix it yourself. So the alternator is working, there's no battery drain, the battery is fully charged, so the last thing it can really be is the battery. Unfortunately, the battery is just not good enough and it needs to be changed. So that's basically what you do before you go and buy yourself a new battery. But what I actually ended up doing was I was able to replace the battery in this car under warranty from Halfords. So they honoured the warranty, I brought in the receipt, and I was able to get a new battery for it, so that solved the problem for me. Now, just a little point of note there, the batteries that you have in cars do not like to be fully discharged. If you fully discharge it, it may not take charge properly ever again. So you have to make sure that if you are leaving the car over the winter or something like that, or you're leaving it for an extended period of time, just disconnect the negative and maybe throw it on charge every so often, and just keep it in good order, because a new battery is €100 or so. So that's a big chunk of change to be forking out just because of the fact that you didn't want to throw a 13mm spanner on the battery terminal and disconnect it for the winter. So anyway, I hope you gained a bit from this video, and if you have any questions or any comments or any observations, please do post below, and I will do my best to reply to them, and I certainly will read them, and I'll see you in a future video. Thanks for watching.